I don't exactly use a tablet on the daily, but throw a 9-inch OLED gaming tablet my way, and I just might. The REDMAGIC Astra is the company's second go at a gaming tablet. It's easier to hold, more powerful, and offers a stunning OLED display. It just launched in the global market and starts from $499 US. I have the Eclipse black color, but it also comes in Starfrost silver. Only Eclipse gets a 1TB option though. Speaking of colors, they just released a new color for their slim REDMAGIC 10 Air smartphone. It's called Flare, and this color is fire. Its design language is actually less like the 10 and 10s Pro and more like the new tablet. It's 10% thinner than the rest of the 10 series devices, coming in at just 7.85mm, but it still has touch triggers and an all-screen display thanks to its under-display selfie camera. Check out the link in the description if you'd like to find out more about the 10 Air. But let's get back to the tablet. The Astra is kind of like if a gaming phone and a tablet had a baby. The crazy thing is that the Astra is just 6.9mm thick. That's even thinner than the 10 Air. It's also only 370 grams, which is way lighter than their first tablet, even though it still has a metal back to match its flat side rails. On the top frame, there's a power button which doubles as a fingerprint sensor, and it's okay, but once you're in, you get to see that new display in all its glory. It's a flat 9.06-inch OLED panel with a 2.4K resolution, 100% DCI-P3 color gamut, and a 165Hz refresh rate. They've now paired up with Synaptics to create a custom touch chip for a faster 2000Hz instant touch sampling rate, but standard touch sampling is the same 240Hz. And brightness has seriously jumped up. It has 1600 nits of peak brightness, up from 550 nits, and it even manages 1100 nits of full screen brightness. Main reason for that is because it's an OLED. Their first tablet was LCD, just like you see with many other tablets out there, including similarly sized gaming tablets that cost about the same price. Having an OLED screen means higher brightness, higher contrast, better color response, and faster response times. Having an OLED display just makes sense for a gaming tablet. REDMAGIC is all about immersive displays, and so this year they have cut down the bezels to just 4.9mm. They're symmetrical all around, and they're small enough to appreciate the display, but large enough to not accidentally touch the screen with your palms. I feel like this form factor is perfect. It's big enough to enjoy content on a larger screen, but not too big that it's too hard to hold. This should make it better for gaming, since you can easily reach the center of the screen with both of your thumbs. When holding it in landscape, I'm not sure you noticed, but the top bezel houses the selfie camera, and it's got to be the smallest selfie sensor I've ever seen. It's supposedly a 9-megapixel sensor, but it outputs 7.68 megapixel photos. It actually takes decent selfie pics though. But when it comes to selfie video, the REDMAGIC Astra gaming tablet caps out video at 1080p and 30fps. Let me know your thoughts of the video and microphone performance. There's still a transparent glass section on its backplate with LEDs for the REDMAGIC text and physical cooling fan. And just like with the 10s Pro phone, the LEDs can stay lit up all the time, even when the device is locked. Their previous tablet, the REDMAGIC Nova, had a raised camera module. But just like with their recent phones, the Astra has a completely flat back with its camera sensor tucked behind the same glass section. There's only one 13-megapixel sensor though, which is actually a downgrade from the 50-megapixel cam we got with their first tablet. Shots come out decent at its native focal length, and it can zoom up to 10 times. You can shoot video at 4K resolution, but it's capped at 30fps. Actually, all resolutions are capped at 30fps, and things are quite shaky even with the anti-shake video feature on. I mean, at least it has cameras, but no one really buys a tablet for camera performance. It's not like I'd go out in public and take photos on a tablet anyway. If you are someone that would do that, then at least it won't get killed in the rain, since it actually now has an IP54 dust and water certification. The 20,000 RPM active turbo fan is also tucked behind the glass, but unlike REDMAGIC's phones, there are no air vents for it. The fan is completely internal. I guess it doesn't really need external vents due to its larger form factor. It's probably going to work much like a large vapor chamber, but surely this will mean that some of that hot air is going to get trapped in the body. That glass section on the back also features some text, and 2 of the text layers are about the cooling system, which for the first time includes a dual layer sandwich vapor chamber. One sits above and one sits below the chipsets, and they both work together. We also get liquid metal 2.0, which has been processed into a solid state piece and sits between the CPU and battery chip. So this should also keep the battery cool. And by the way, the Astra packs in the largest battery found in any 9-inch or smaller tablet, and it comes in at 8,200 mAh. It can also be charged from 0 to 100 in just 71 minutes, but their previous tablet, the REDMAGIC Nova, could charge in under 60 minutes, and that had a larger battery. This should be more efficient though, considering it's using an OLED screen and it has Qualcomm's latest flagship chipset, that being the Snapdragon 8 Elite CPU. It's not the overclocked leading version that we see in their flagship gaming phone though, but somehow it achieved an identical Antutu score when compared to the overclocked chip. Its single core score in Geekbench 6 is also similar, but its multi-core score is quite a bit lower, even lower than other 8 Elite powered phones, and its GPU scores in 3D Mark were also slightly lower, but not by much. This really shouldn't affect gaming performance, but we'll get to that in a minute. Just like with their latest phone, the Astra also gets LPDDR5T RAM and UFS 4.1 Pro storage, as well as the Red-Core R3 Pro gaming chip, which enhances performance and effects while taking some of the load off the Qualcomm chip. One thing that really grinds me is that there is no always-on display, even though it has an OLED screen, and their software is pretty much a copy-paste of their phone software. It's the exact same REDMAGIC OS 10.5 software skinned over Android 15 that we see on their latest phones. So there's still no option for large folders, and there's still no Google Discover and Circle to search. At least there's Google Gemini and interactive widgets though. The home screen layout can't be changed at all, so it's stuck to 6x4 icons regardless of the screen orientation, and the only real tablet feature I can see is that you can have up to 8 docked icons and 3 recently opened apps sit next to them. There are some tablet accessories, which should give you a bit more of a tablet feel, but they haven't released yet. That gamepad does look sick though, and the gamepad would certainly help since unlike their phones, the Astra doesn't have touch triggers. I mean, it wouldn't make sense for it to have since they'd be too hard to reach, but I have a thought. They could just put them on either side of the screen when holding it in landscape, instead of at the top, and maybe even have them double up as fingerprint sensors. Another thing missing is a headphone jack, which makes 0 sense to me since all of their flagship phones have one. My thoughts on this? Maybe add one? But there is still a magic key, and it opens GameSpace by default. But just like with their phones, you can customize it to do something else instead. I like to use it as a mute switch. If you don't choose to use it for GameSpace, you can easily open up GameSpace from the control center. In GameSpace, you can customize things the same way you can on their phones, and once in a game, all the gaming features are pretty much the same. There's still an option for charge separation, but one thing I really appreciate here is that they have now moved the USB port higher up when you're holding it in landscape so that it doesn't get in the way when you're gaming. And that USB 3.2 port also doubles up as a display port so that you can hook it up to an external screen for that true console-like experience. It works in the exact same way that we saw with the recently released REDMAGIC 10S Pro, so if you want to see it in action, be sure you watch my video of it right after this. It is slightly different though. You can still output at 4K 144Hz, but there's now 2 more options. You can output at 2K 240Hz or 8K 60. Touch triggers on the sides would be my first choice, but since that's not a thing yet, they do have a sensory control feature which acts like touch triggers, but through gestures. I can't really see myself ever using this though. Alright, I have another idea. Imagine they released a dock, just like you see with the Nintendo Switch. I mean, they already have a gaming controller, right? So pair the 2 of those together and bam, you have a fully fledged console. Maybe this will make more sense once they actually release their native PC emulator in the global market. Just like with their phones, we get an upscaling and frame interpolation feature which allows you to play 60 FPS games like Genshin Impact at 120 FPS. It's not the same as proper 120 FPS gaming, but it does feel more fluid. We averaged 60 FPS with it off and a solid 120 FPS with it on, which is a higher average than the XS Pro, and it feels more stable too. You can also use frame interpolation when playing Withering Waves, which is pretty much the benchmark for mobile gaming, and we averaged 120 FPS the entire time. What's even better is that after playing multiple games for over an hour, the device never felt too hot. I mean, it got a little warmer on the left side, but its temp was cooler than their two most recent flagship phones. So I guess that internal cooling fan and new cooling system does indeed work well. Call of Duty Mobile also runs really well on the Astra, but it's unfortunate that the refresh rate caps out at 120 FPS, even though we have a 165Hz display here. It would have been nice to see at least 144 FPS like we see with their XS Pro. The good news is that haptic feedback is ridiculously good, thanks to it using dual X-axis linear vibration motors. A lot of tablets skip out on vibration motors altogether, but it makes sense for a gaming tablet. Real Racing 3 is one of the few games out there that doesn't have an FPS cap, so not only did we manage to reach 165 FPS while playing, it often hit 166 FPS. Another thing that is a serious standout feature for this tablet are its excessively loud dual stereo speakers that are packed with bass.
Contact.
Oh, time for some hot action. Yeah. No escape.
With the wind.
Most small gaming tablets have an IPS screen and a small battery. This corrects both of those things and does so much more. I'm also super relieved that they reduced the size here. A smaller gaming tablet just makes so much more sense. What doesn't make sense is the absence of a headphone jack though. REDMAGIC, please could you add one in? Oh, and while you're at it, maybe add in those side triggers and maybe even make a dock. That would be absolutely epic. No, but seriously, I could actually see myself using this on the daily. This is TechNick, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.